Hi there! Welcome to Practical Piano. Today's video is a little different because we just hit 1,000 subscribers on Practical Piano. I'm super excited. And so I want to make a video to tell you guys a little bit of the story of Practical Piano, how it came about, what the mission is, what the focus is. And then I have 2 products that will be launching in 2025 and 2026 that I also want to inform you guys about. Before we get to that, I wanted to say thank you. Thank you for your subscription. Thank you for all of the engagement you do with these videos. Your comments, your likes, your shares, even your watch time indicates to YouTube that you find these videos useful and valuable. YouTube pushes it out to you more often, and it also gives other people the chance to see these videos that might benefit from them. So thank you so much for all your engagement. First of all, for assisting me in helping Practical Piano reach many people, because the reason I started this channel is to serve and help pianists. And secondly, thank you for your support of this small business, because that's what Practical Piano is. It's a brand and a small business that's currently based in Alberta, Canada. It technically started 10 years ago when I first started teaching, and I was about 17 and I was cutting my teeth on these new students. And it was a little rough because I'd never taught before. And so I had this rough idea of how to teach piano. I had what I could remember of being taught piano. And it turned out that what I thought teaching wasn't exactly accurate to how it actually ends up being in real life application. So I learned a lot in my first few years as a teacher with my private students. Since then, I've taught privately, I've been commissioned with a local studio, and I have collectively taught around 400 people how to read and play sheet music from scratch on the piano. And then as far as people who had musical experience, maybe I've taught 1,000 people if we include those. So I have lots of teaching experience, and I am very excited, very grateful for the opportunity that YouTube provides for me to put what I've learned as a teacher out there and help pianists as they're learning piano. The goal of Practical Piano as a business is to make learning piano, specifically classically styled piano, accessible for the average person. And not just the average person, but specialized for HSPs, tactile learners, people who have trouble learning, and chronic stress and trauma survivors. Because I have a lot of experience working with these kinds of people. I have experience being a chronic stress survivor, and there are people close to me in my family who fall into those categories. And this is a very unique kind of learning style. It's a very unique kind of teaching style. So it can only benefit people if I put it out there under Practical Piano. Now, there are some huge goals that Practical Piano has that we're not ready to talk about, because when you talk about your dreams, they tend to fizzle off. It's like a baby. If you keep it safe and cared for while it's growing, and you can keep it safe until that final stage when it's ready to come out, it has a very good chance of survival. But sometimes babies are premature. When they're premature, their chance of survival decreases, and you have to take greater care with them. And dreams and goals are like that. If you expose them too much, too soon, they tend to have a harder time surviving. So Practical Piano has big goals, big dreams. We're not going to talk about those. What we're going to talk about are the current dreams that are in the works, that are upcoming, and that will serve you if you decide to be a customer of the business. And so these are products. Now, Practical Piano is already offering virtual piano lessons on our website, practicalpianowithtia.ca. And I am the only instructor so far. So if you want to sign up 4 lessons through practicalpianowithtia.ca. Go to the website, check out the bundles. You can buy single lessons, or you can check out one of the packages, and each package gets a discount per lesson compared to buying singles. So the best value one is marked so that that's the one that works out to be the cheapest per lesson, and that's how the pricing works on the website. So if you're interested in virtual lessons, please head on over there. That is currently the only service that Practical Piano offers. But we're about to launch 2 products, and they are both under the RAPS brand. RAPS is short for RAPSMAB, which is short for Read and Play Piano Sheet Music for Absolute Beginners. This is a course that I've developed over my 10 years of teaching, because I'll get to explaining what RAPSMAB is and how it becomes 2 products. But first I'll tell you a bit of the story behind it. So 10 years ago when I started teaching, because I didn't really know how to teach, I tried out a bunch of different piano methods, and I figured out the 2 that were best for me and for my students, so that their learning styles and my teaching styles jived around these 2 methods, but not perfectly. Now I'll show you what those 2 methods are. They're my favorite. I'll link them down in the description too if you want to start learning piano and you want to start with that kind of course. So we've got Bastian Piano Basics, and we have the Alfred's Adult course. And I'm showing the covers for those on the screen right now. Now, both of these books are excellent primers. They're excellent piano methods. But as far as I'm concerned, they're not perfect. And very few things are perfect. And so what I learned over my time teaching was what the different flaws in the different curriculums were, and what tended to set back my sensitive learners. So the ones who actually have a difficult time learning, focusing, or who process a lot of sensory information, and the ones who have emotional, sometimes mental troubles because of their experiences in life, they have a harder time learning. And they can learn with what works for everybody, but it takes a lot more effort. And so I have specifically designed this course over time to be simple, clear, easy to focus, not too much information at once, no wasted space so that there's useless information. And the goal of the RAPSMAB course is to teach you how to read and play piano sheet music in a classical leaning style. Now, the problem that most people have with classical music is that it looks like a monster. There's this kind of impression that we get from classical music that it's going to take you ages to learn. It's really, really difficult. It's only for like extremely smart people or people who have 6 hours a day to practice. And it seems like it's just out of reach. And so people hear classical piano and they're like, whoa, you're talking about a 20-year commitment. I'm not doing that. Well, I committed 20 years to it, but that doesn't mean that it has to take you 20 years to get to play the music that you want to play. In fact, I don't even think it should take you 10 years to get to play the classical music you would like to play. And that's what I've been working on with RAPSMAB. We get you reading right away, and we get you progressing quickly on how much you can read. So there is some truth to the stigma behind the classical piano thing, because most times you go to start in classical piano and for the first couple years the teacher is focusing on your posture and making sure that you hold your fingers right and making sure that you don't move off a song until it's absolutely perfect, you've got all the details. But this is troublesome for people who just want to read and play music, because I'll use a metaphor here. So if I'm going to teach you how to read books, like books written in English, first I'm going to give you the foundations to figure out how to sound out your words. And then when we actually start reading, I'm going to have you reading stuff like Dr. Seuss. Now, reading Dr. Seuss at that point is going to feel a little hard. It's funny to think about because we all know what a Dr. Seuss book looks like. But if you were just learning to read, that would be hard. So, while I'm teaching you to read Dr. Seuss, I am not going to hassle you about sitting straight and hold your book properly and enunciate every word extremely clearly. And then also, we're going to learn how to phrase your sentence so that it sounds like it's naturally flowing speech. And then on top of that, let's do a word analysis and figure out why Dr. Seuss strung all these words together. Now, that might work for some students, but for especially sensitive learners, if that's what we're doing on a Dr. Seuss book, you're going to get extremely frustrated and you're probably not going to want to read anymore. So, my approach to teaching you piano is more like this. We're going to start with a Dr. Seuss book. You're going to learn to read the words, and you're going to learn to say them pretty well. And you're going to keep reading this book until you're pretty bored of it. And then we're going to move on to a book that has harder words to learn. We're not going to hassle you on sitting perfect and all this other stuff. Because what you want to do, let's say your goal is you want to learn to read The Lord of the Rings. Well, we got to start with Dr. Seuss. But how long am I going to hold Lord of the Rings out in front of you as a goal to reach while I'm trying to keep you on Dr. Seuss for like 6 months so that you get it perfect? Dr. Seuss isn't important enough to get it perfect. It doesn't matter enough to you. And this is what it's like with beginner piano. The songs that you learn as a beginner are very important just for learning your basics, but you don't care about them. They are just a tool to get you from point A to point B, so that we can go from Dr. Seuss to Beverly Cleary to Harry Potter to Lord of the Rings. Now, if you want to stay on your beginner songs and you want to refine them to perfection, that is cool, because we need to do what you want to do as the student. That is why the teacher exists. If you're going to a teacher and they're not giving you what you're asking for, you're with the wrong teacher. And this is true, like sometimes students come to me and they're like, I want to learn to play by ear. I'm like, I have a terrible ear and I don't know how to teach by ear. I can give it my best shot, but you might be better off going to a teacher who teaches by ear. I will teach you how to read, and as I can, I'll teach you to learn by ear. I will develop a method so that I can teach you to learn by ear. But if you want to learn by ear really fast by somebody who knows how to do it, maybe you're in the wrong place, right? So you have to find the teacher that works for you. Anyways, that's a bit of a tangent. Basically, that is my teaching style for beginners. We're going to stay on a song until you have got the basics, you're pretty confident with it, and you're even starting to get a bit bored. And then we're going to move on to something harder, more challenging, with new concepts that you'll get to learn. So if that jives well with you, and you're in the market to learn piano music and you haven't learned it before, and you want to read and play, so even if you've played piano but you just don't know how to read and you've always wanted to read, if that's you, you might want to stick around and listen to what RAPSMAB is about. Or if you know someone else who is in the market to learn to read and play piano music, please share it with them. So, RAPSMAB in its current form looks like this. Here are a couple of the pages. So you can see it's very clean, it's very simple, straightforward, easy to read. Here's what the majority of the sheet music looks like. Yes, that is Twinkle Twinkle. I know not everybody is into the nursery rhymes, but the benefit of them is they're copyright free. As a small business, we can't yet afford to pay royalties for music that you guys will recognize, but everybody recognizes the nursery rhymes, so that's what we're going to start with. But you do move on quite quickly to some very pleasing, easier classical music. So if you're willing to put like a month or two in on that kind of music, you'll soon be playing things that you're much more invested in. Now, you can see it's just loose papers for now. I usually package it in a duotang in sheet protectors, and I have been testing this for over 5 years now on various students. I sank about $1,500 into designing, printing off, redesigning, printing off, in order to test this with my students, because I wanted to make sure that it worked. And it does. I began to sell it to my students late last year because now I'm completely confident that it does what it's supposed to. It teaches you how to read and play sheet music at a basic fluent level, equivalent to Dr. Seuss. Well, actually beyond Dr. Seuss. It's more like Beverly Cleary. Up to a pretty good level, so that once you understand these basics, if you want to then try and self-teach some other songs, you're going to be able to manage it. Or if you want to then start lessons, you'll be able to go to your new teacher and say, hey, I have this really solid foundation. I know how to read sheet music. I don't know how to pick my next level of music. Can you help me pick a song that suits what I just played and is a little bit harder? And a teacher with some experience will be able to recommend you a new set of songs to learn. And they'll help you figure out what your goals are and what direction you want to head in. So this is Practical Piano's first product, is the RAPS course. Now, it's going to come in 2 different forms. The ebook is going to take a little longer because as it is right now, it is resources and music that you can play and you can learn from, but it's going to be kind of hard to learn about how to it's going to be hard to direct yourself without someone who knows the curriculum. So the ebook needs some very clear instructions so that you can self-direct. Hopefully, because the goal of Practical Piano is to make music accessible, what I want to do is provide a book where you can teach yourself how to read and play sheet music, if that's what you want to do. If you want to learn solo, this will be the resource that works for you. But because it needs the extra padding in the course to make it manageable for independent learning, that will probably be released in 2026. My hope is to sell it as an ebook that you can download, print off the pages, and put in a duotang yourself. I think that's going to be cheaper for everybody in the long run, because to print off sheets, buy a duotang, and buy sheet protectors is maybe $10 to $15. But to buy a paperback book, I'm thinking is going to cost you guys $20 to $25, maybe even $30, because I'll have it spiral bound by the time it's ready to be in a paperback book. And it will be a great cost to me. The margin for profit will be slimmer, but it will also be more expensive for you. So to start off with, we'll start as an ebook that you can download, print, and package yourself. If I get enough interest from you guys, and yeah, we'd actually like this as a proper book, then I'll search how to publish the book. So that is coming in 2026. The first product is one that I'm currently working on. So I'm taking the RAPSMAB course in its current form, and I am pairing video lessons with it. So first, we're going to launch a video online course. Along with this course, there will be a community. You'll receive the link to the community shortly after you purchase the course, so that as you're learning, if you have problems accessing the course, like technically, or if you have problems learning the material, if you have questions, if you have feedback, you can drop a line in the community at me, and I will respond to you as soon as possible. Or other people in the community might be able to solve your problem as well. This way I also benefit. I get the immediate feedback and I can refine the course, and you benefit greatly because your customer service is probably faster than most businesses. The purpose of the video course is to replace about 6 months to 1 year of piano lessons at a better cost, better value for you, plus you get access to the material indefinitely. And I remember as a kid and as a teenager, I wish that I could have had access to my teacher, access to my lessons. I wish that I had have been able to hear my teacher play the song that I was learning so that I could understand how it went. These things are very, very helpful when you're learning. So having recorded lessons instead of trying to retain what you learned in a physical lesson is actually a huge benefit. Now, this is my first time launching an online course, and because of that, I'm going to offer the first 10 buyers a steep early bird discount. So if you are interested in taking the course, please go to the contact page of practicalpianowithtia.ca. I'll link that in the description and in the pinned comment. Fill out the form, tell me you're interested in RAPSMAB, and I will add you to the list of people who get an email as soon as the course is ready, so that you have the first opportunity to purchase at that early bird discount. The RAPSMAB course is going to be a staple product of Practical Piano as a business because everyone has to start somewhere. This is the most effective way I've developed to bring people from zero reading music capability to very good reading music capability as far as beginners are concerned, and to start to establish a good foundation for your journey toward classical piano music. The design of the video course will be self-directed, and you can move quickly or slowly through the course. You can move at your own pace. If you want to skip over a lesson because you already know your letters, feel free to skip over a lesson. If you need to stay on a lesson for a couple of weeks, even a month, feel free to do that. And you're welcome to drop into the community anytime that you're feeling discouraged or you're not sure what to do next. Speaking of the community, the guidelines will be very straightforward. We want to stay on topic with piano and our progress in piano and what we're learning about piano. And we want to be respectful to the other members in the community. Abuse will not be tolerated. So the first time somebody is acting unreasonably toward another member of the community, they will be booted. There's not a 3 strikes rule. You blow it one time, you're out. You can figure your things out yourself. I know that most of the people who sign up for the community are going to be pretty decent people, so I'm really not worried about it. But I'll put it out there because there's always a few outliers. So that's pretty much it for this video. Let me summarize. The goal of Practical Piano as a small business is to make reading and playing sheet music on piano as straightforward and accessible as possible. And that's for the average person who doesn't have a lot of time, who has responsibilities and obligations. And it's also especially for the sensitive learners. We'll be launching the online course sometime in June, God willing. And so if you're interested in that, drop me a line on the contact form of practicalpianowithtia.ca. Reach out, let me know you're interested. I'll add you to the email list so that you don't miss the early bird discount. Next year, we'll be launching the first edition of the RAPSMAB ebook in a format that's easy to download and print off and store in your typical printer paper size. We'll continue to offer virtual piano lessons. You can check out the individual lessons or the packages. And if none of this suits you, but you have watched to the end of the video, thank you so much for your time, for your attention, and for your support of this small business. I really appreciate every second that you chose to stay. I'll be coming soon with a more valuable video for you. I have one almost ready to go on hand care, so how to deal with sore hands, how to strengthen your hands, things like that. And I think I have 2 more videos remaining in the 2024 practice session season. So those will be the last things that I recorded in December 2024. They just need to be edited and uploaded. And then 2024's practice session season will be closed out, and we'll be focusing a little more on instructional videos for a while. We'll probably go back to the practice sessions. You guys seem to really enjoy them, and they're easy content to make, so I'm happy to do them. If you found this video useful or enjoyable, please leave a like. If you have any questions, leave a comment. If you know anyone else who is interested in the content that I produce, or who might be interested in the RAPSMAB course or ebook, please share this video with them and suggest that they sign up through the website. And if you would like to stay tuned, either for the launch of the online course or for the free educational content that Practical Piano will continue to provide in order to help you practice better and get more progress out of the time that you put in piano, then please subscribe.